As you watch this video, your reality is being shaped by forces you can't see. Every news story you read, every social media post you scroll past, every fact you think you know, it's all been carefully crafted to control how you feel, what you believe, and ultimately, how you vote, spend, and live your life. What I'm about to reveal will change how you consume information forever. In the next 30 minutes, I will expose the 9 most dangerous information warfare tactics being used against you right now. Techniques so sophisticated that even intelligence agencies struggle to detect them. By the end of this video, you'll never look at news, social media, or even casual conversations the same way again. But first, let me tell you about the 2024 election that never happened. Welcome back to Shadow Psyche, where we expose the daily dark psychology tactics used against you and teach you how to protect yourself. I'm Brian, and over the past 15 years, I've studied how information gets weaponized to control populations, manipulate elections, and reshape entire societies. Today, I will reveal the 9 most devastating information warfare techniques that rewrite reality around you. These aren't conspiracy theories. They're documented psychological operations being deployed by governments, corporations, and even individuals to control your mind through information manipulation. By the end of this video, you'll know precisely how to recognize when information is being weaponized against you, understand the psychological mechanisms that make these attacks so effective, and have concrete tools to protect your mental sovereignty in an age of information warfare. But first, let me be clear. This information is for protection only. We're not teaching you how to manipulate others, but how to recognize when you're being manipulated and how to defend yourself. The Phantom Election Story. Let me tell you about something that happened in 2019 that most people have never heard of. In a small Eastern European country, an election was completely manipulated not through vote tampering or ballot stuffing, but through pure information warfare. 6 months before the election, foreign operatives flooded social media with carefully crafted stories about the leading candidate. These weren't blatant lies. They were subtle distortions, half-truths, and emotional manipulations designed to shift public perception gradually. They created fake grassroots movements, manufactured viral moments, and even staged spontaneous protests that coordinated information operations. The candidate they targeted never knew what hit him. His poll numbers collapsed not because of anything he did, but because reality had been rewritten around him. The terrifying part? The same techniques used in that election are being deployed against you daily. Not just during election seasons, but in every aspect of your life. Your opinions about products, people, policies, and even your identity are being shaped by information warfare tactics that most people can't detect. The science of information warfare. Before we dive into the 9 techniques, you need to understand what's happening in your brain when you're subjected to information warfare. This isn't just about lying or propaganda. It's about exploiting the fundamental ways your mind processes and stores information. Your brain has evolved to make quick decisions based on limited information. In prehistoric times, this kept you alive. You couldn't afford to analyze whether that rustling bush contained a predator carefully. But in the information age, this survival mechanism makes you vulnerable to sophisticated manipulation. Information warfare exploits what neuroscientists call cognitive shortcuts, or heuristics. Your brain uses these shortcuts to process the overwhelming amount of information you encounter daily. But when someone understands these shortcuts, they can hijack your decision-making process without you ever realizing it. The most dangerous aspect of information warfare is that it doesn't feel like manipulation. Unlike blatant propaganda, these techniques make you feel like you're coming to conclusions. You think you're thinking independently, but carefully crafted information architectures guide your thoughts. Research shows that repeated exposure to false information rewires your neural pathways. Even when people are later told information is untrue, their brains often retain the emotional impact of the original lie. Information warfare is effective. It creates lasting psychological changes that persist even after the truth is revealed. The reality gradient. The first and most fundamental information warfare technique is the reality gradient. This involves gradually shifting what people consider normal or acceptable by slowly moving the boundaries of acceptable discourse. Here's how it works. Instead of making one big lie that people would immediately reject, information warriors create a series of more minor distortions that gradually move public opinion in their desired direction. Each step seems reasonable compared to the previous one, but the cumulative effect completely transforms reality. Think of it like boiling a frog. If you put it in boiling water, it jumps out immediately. But if you put it in cool water and gradually increase the temperature, it never realizes it's being cooked until it's too late. This technique is used in corporate environments where companies want to implement unpopular policies. They start by floating trial balloons, unofficial suggestions that test public reaction. Based on the response, they adjust their messaging and gradually introduce more acceptable versions of their original idea. The reality gradient works because it exploits your brain's adaptation mechanism. What seems shocking today becomes normal tomorrow if you're exposed to it gradually. This is why social norms can shift dramatically over relatively short periods, not through sudden changes, but through carefully orchestrated gradual shifts. The most sophisticated practitioners of this technique use what I call anchoring cascades. They establish extreme positions that make their actual goals seem moderate by comparison. For example, if they want to implement policy B, they first propose the much more extreme policy A. When people reject policy A, policy B suddenly seems like a reasonable compromise. Protection strategy. Pay attention to how your opinions change over time. Record your positions on important issues and regularly ask yourself, am I changing my mind based on new evidence? Or am I being gradually moved by repeated exposure to certain viewpoints? The emotional hijack. The second technique is the emotional hijack, the systematic use of emotional triggers to bypass rational thinking and implant desired beliefs or behaviors. This technique recognizes that emotions, not logic, drive most human decision-making. Information warriors have mapped the emotional landscape of human psychology with scientific precision. They know precisely which emotions to trigger, in what sequence, and with what intensity to achieve their desired outcomes. Fear, anger, hope, disgust, pride. Each emotion can be weaponized to serve specific manipulation goals. The emotional hijack works through what psychologists call affect infusion, when your emotional state influences your judgment about unrelated topics. If someone can make you angry about issue A, that anger will color your perception of issue B, even if they're completely unconnected. Here's a real example. During a recent political campaign, I analyzed how one side used emotional hijacking to influence voters. They would start their advertisements with emotionally charged imagery, crying children, destroyed homes, threatening figures. This created a state of anxiety and fear in viewers. Then, viewers would present their policy positions while in this emotional state. The policies might have been entirely unrelated to the emotional content. Still, viewers associated the fear and anxiety with the opposing candidate and the relief and safety with their preferred candidate. The most insidious aspect of emotional hijacking is that it creates false memories. When you experience intense emotions while receiving information, your brain encodes that information more deeply and associates it with the emotional state. Later, when you try to recall the information, you also recall the emotions, making the information feel more true and important than it is. Protection strategy. Learn to recognize when your emotions are being deliberately triggered. When you feel a strong emotional response to information, pause and ask, is this emotion appropriate to the actual content? Or am I being manipulated? Give yourself time to cool down before making decisions based on emotionally charged information. The authority matrix. The third technique is the authority matrix, creating false expertise and manufactured credibility to make lies seem authoritative. This goes far beyond simply lying. It's about constructing entire ecosystems of fake authority that make false information appear credible. The authority matrix exploits your brain's natural tendency to defer to expertise. Throughout human history, following the guidance of knowledgeable leaders has been a survival strategy. Information warriors exploit this by creating the appearance of knowledge where none exists. Here's how sophisticated this has become. They don't just create fake experts. They create entire networks of counterfeit institutions, fake studies, fake peer reviews, and fake academic credentials. They understand that you're more likely to believe information from someone with impressive credentials, so they manufacture those credentials. I recently investigated a case where a corporation wanted to discredit scientific research that threatened its profits. Instead of directly attacking the research, they created a fake think tank with an official-sounding name, hired actors to play scientists, and produced professional-looking studies contradicting legitimate research. The fake think tank had a professional website, published regular reports, and held conferences. To casual observers, it looked completely legitimate. The fake studies were designed to look scientific. They had proper formatting, statistical analysis, and academic language. However, the data was either fabricated or manipulated to support predetermined conclusions. The authority matrix also includes credential laundering, taking people with legitimate but irrelevant expertise and positioning them as authorities in unrelated fields. A real doctor might be presented as an expert on economics, or a legitimate scientist might be quoted on political issues outside their field of study. Protection strategy. Always verify the credentials and funding sources of supposed experts. Ask yourself, what makes this person qualified to speak on this topic? Who is paying them? What do other experts in this field say? Be especially suspicious of experts who always reach conclusions that benefit specific interests. The echo amplification system. The fourth technique is the echo amplification system, creating artificial consensus through coordinated messaging across multiple platforms and sources. This technique makes minority viewpoints appear to be majority opinions through strategic amplification. The echo amplification system works by understanding how your brain determines what's true. One of the key mechanisms is social proof. You tend to believe things that many other people think. Information warriors exploit this by creating the illusion of widespread agreement where none exists. Here's how it works. A single piece of information is simultaneously released through dozens or even hundreds of channels: news websites, social media accounts, blogs, podcasts, and video channels. Each source presents the information slightly differently, but the core message remains the same. Multiple independent sources report the same thing, making it seem credible and vital. But it's a coordinated campaign designed to create the illusion of consensus. I've tracked campaigns where a single false story was amplified through over 500 different online sources within 24 hours. Each source added its spin, making it seem like independent verification, but they were all part of the same coordinated operation. The most sophisticated version of this technique uses what I call layered amplification. The first layer consists of obviously biased sources that true believers will share. The second layer includes more moderate sources that fence-sitters will find credible. The third layer involves mainstream sources that pick up the story because it is gaining traction. By the time the story reached mainstream media, it appeared to be an organic viral spread, but it was artificially amplified. Protection strategy. When you see the same story across multiple sources, ask yourself, are these truly independent sources, or could they be part of a coordinated campaign? Look for original reporting versus recycled content, and be suspicious when stories spread too quickly or uniformly. The context collapse. The fifth technique is context collapse, the deliberate removal or distortion of context to change the meaning of information. This technique recognizes that the same facts can support completely different conclusions, depending on how they're presented. Context. Collapse exploits your brain's tendency to confuse missing information with assumptions. When information is presented without proper context, your mind automatically supplies context based on your beliefs and biases. Information warriors exploit this by carefully controlling which context is provided and which is omitted. Here's a real example. During a recent controversy, a video clip showed a public figure making what appeared to be an inflammatory statement. The clip went viral and sparked outrage across social media. However, the video revealed that the person was quoting someone else to criticize that position. The inflammatory statement was entirely taken out of context. But here's the insidious part. Even after the full context was revealed, many people retained their negative impression of the person. The emotional impact of the decontextualized clip was more substantial than the rational understanding of the full context. Context collapse also includes temporal manipulation, presenting information from different periods as if it's all current or presenting current information as a long-term trend. A single bad day for a stock might be presented as evidence of long-term decline, or an old quote might be given as a current position. The technique becomes even more powerful when combined with selective statistics. Information warriors cherry-pick data points supporting their narrative while ignoring contradictory evidence. They might show you a graph demonstrating a clear trend, but they've carefully selected the time frame and variables to create that impression. Protection strategy. Always ask for the full context. When you see shocking quotes, dramatic statistics, or inflammatory images, ask, what happened before and after this? What's the broader context? What information might be missing? Seek out sources and complete documentation before forming opinions. The cognitive overload attack. The sixth technique is the cognitive overload attack, overwhelming your mental processing capacity to make you more susceptible to manipulation. This technique recognizes that your brain has limited resources for critical thinking. When those resources are exhausted, you become more vulnerable to influence. The cognitive overload attack floods you with more information than you can process effectively. When overwhelmed, your brain switches from careful analysis to quick, intuitive judgments based on emotional responses and cognitive shortcuts. Information warriors create this overload through several methods. Information volume, too much information to process. Information complexity, making simple issues seem impossibly complicated. Information velocity, information changing too quickly to analyze. And information contradiction, presenting conflicting information that creates confusion. I've observed this technique being used during major news events. Instead of presenting clear, factual information, specific sources flood the information space with dozens of theories, explanations, and interpretations. The goal isn't to inform, but to confuse and overwhelm. When cognitively overloaded, people tend to rely more heavily on trusted sources and emotional responses. Information warriors exploit this by positioning themselves as the calm, authoritative voice in their created chaos. They become your cognitive anchor in the storm of information they've generated. The cognitive overload attack also includes decision fatigue exploitation. Throughout the day, your brain makes thousands of small decisions, each depleting your mental energy. Information warriors time their most important messages when your cognitive resources are most depleted. Late in the day, after stressful events, or during periods of high information consumption. Protection strategy. Recognize when overwhelmed and take breaks from information consumption. When facing complex issues, break them down into smaller, manageable pieces. Be especially cautious about making important decisions when you feel overwhelmed or mentally exhausted. The Tribal Activation Protocol. The seventh technique is the Tribal Activation Protocol, exploiting your innate tribal psychology to make you more susceptible to group-based manipulation. This technique recognizes humans as fundamentally tribal creatures, and tribal loyalty often overrides individual critical thinking. The Tribal Activation Protocol identifies which tribes you belong to: political, religious, professional, cultural, or social groups that form part of your identity. Then, it crafts messages that activate your tribal instincts, making you more likely to accept information that supports your tribe and reject information that threatens it. Information warriors use several tribal triggers: in-group favoritism, making your group seem superior; out-group derogation, making other groups seem threatening or inferior; threat amplification, exaggerating dangers to your tribe; and loyalty testing, questioning the tribal commitment of those who express doubts. Here's how sophisticated this has become. I've analyzed campaigns where information warriors created detailed psychological profiles of different tribal groups and then crafted specific messages for each tribe. The same underlying agenda was promoted to other groups using different arguments that appealed to each group's values and fears. For example, they might promote the same policy to conservatives by emphasizing traditional values and to liberals by emphasizing social justice. Each group thinks they support the policy for their own reasons, but the exact source manipulates them. The Tribal Activation Protocol also includes false flag operations, where information warriors pretend to be members of opposing tribes and make extreme statements designed to outrage your tribe. This creates artificial conflict and makes your tribe more cohesive and defensive. Protection strategy. Be aware of your tribal affiliations and how they might bias your thinking. When you feel strong tribal emotions, pride, anger, defensiveness, pause and ask, am I evaluating this information objectively, or am I being influenced by tribal loyalty? Seek out perspectives from outside your usual tribal boundaries. The memory implantation system. The eighth technique is the memory implantation system, using repeated exposure and emotional association to create false memories and alter your recollection of past events. This technique exploits human memory's malleable nature to rewrite your personal history. The memory implantation system works because memory isn't like a video recording. It's reconstructed each time you remember something. Information warriors exploit this by providing false details during the reconstruction process, gradually altering your memories without you realizing it. This technique uses several methods. Repetition, false information repeated until it feels familiar. Emotional anchoring, associating false information with strong emotions. Social confirmation, having others remember the false information. And temporal displacement, moving events in time to change their significance. I've documented cases where people's memories of significant historical events were systematically altered through coordinated information campaigns. People began remembering details that never happened, quotes that were never said, and events that never occurred. The most disturbing aspect of this technique is that false memories often feel more real than actual memories because they've been emotionally enhanced and repeatedly reinforced. People will defend false memories more vigorously than true ones because false memories have been designed to be more emotionally compelling. Protection strategy. Keep written records of important events and your reactions. Regularly review your memories against documented evidence. Be suspicious of memories that seem unusually vivid or emotionally charged, especially if they support convenient narratives. The reality substitution engine. The ninth and final technique is the reality substitution engine, creating complete alternative realities that replace objective truth with manufactured narratives. This is the most advanced form of information warfare, where worldviews are constructed and maintained through coordinated information control. The reality substitution engine controls not just individual pieces of information, but the entire information ecosystem that shapes your understanding of reality. This includes controlling sources, experts, evidence, and even the language used to discuss topics. Within these manufactured realities, everything is internally consistent. The experts cite false studies referencing false data supporting false conclusions. People living within these reality bubbles can have rational discussions and logical debates, but they're all based on false premises. Protection strategy. Regularly expose yourself to information sources outside your normal ecosystem. Actively seek out primary sources and original documentation. Question fundamental assumptions and be willing to change your mind when presented with compelling evidence. The information war for your mind is happening now, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Your ability to think independently, make informed decisions, and maintain your mental sovereignty depends on your ability to recognize and defend against these techniques. Tell me which techniques you have noticed in your information consumption in the comments below. Don't name specific sources, but share your experiences with information manipulation. Your awareness might help someone else recognize what's happening to them. If this video opened your eyes to the reality of information warfare, share it with someone you care about. Knowledge is our only defense against those controlling our minds through information manipulation. Next week, we're diving into reality testing, how to verify your own sanity, essential skills for maintaining your grip on truth in an age of manufactured reality. Remember, your mind is the final battlefield in the information war. Defend it wisely, question everything, and never let anyone else determine your reality. Hit subscribe and the bell icon to join our community of information warriors. Like this video if it helped you see through the manipulation. I'll see you next week, where we'll continue building your defenses against those who would control your mind. Stay vigilant, stay questioning, and remember that awareness is your greatest weapon in the information war.